to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
And welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Crudy has an excused absence today. I am your host with the most, Dom. I got my pal Brian in here covering for me as well. Hey, man, welcome.
Oh, I am excited. I am ready to go. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Happy Hump Day, everybody. We are excited to be here. Another super duper busy day in the national news as well as the local news. Big show lined up for you today. State Senator Chris Larson will join us at 4:30. And a guest host, a friend of ours, Joe Zepecki. He's with Zepecki Communications. He's a Dem strategist and a pretty cool cat. He's going to join me in studio as well in the happy hour at 5. Ryan here. Crudy does most of the talking, man. I don't know what we're going to talk about today. So you can always join us, 844-967-2789. Got a new little twist today, Brian. I didn't tell you this.
Ooh.
The 800 number, the 844-967-2789, is also now a text line.
Uh-oh.
So if you are, a little shy out there, you don't know, maybe you don't want to be on the radio and you want to contribute, well, you can also do it on Facebook and you can go to YouTube. Hell, you can tweet us out. You can call the number, but now you can tweet the number, now you can text the number, 844-967-2789. We're going to try this out for a while, see how it works. Please feel free to join the Devil's Advocates. I've been reflecting a lot yesterday when I was busy cutting up the sound from the Channel 4 private investigation of Cambridge Analytica, and of course some of the sound from their now departed CEO. It really, I keep thinking about it when they talk about working in the shadows and working to essentially set up their opponents. It's one thing to dig dirt. It's another thing to set them up either with the honeypot or with the developer with millions of dollars to set up, campaign contributions for land, etc.
Look, I learned early on as a door guy, if a bunch of hot girls come up to you, they're not into you, dude.
No, are you sure?
Yeah, they're probably not into you. And if someone's paying them to be into you, that should concern you a little bit more.
Maybe.
They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart.
Sometimes it is too good to be true, right?
Most of the time, it's too good to be true.
So now the question becomes not just the manipulation of the voters. I mean, I guess we can assume that's going to happen. I wouldn't necessarily assume that would happen from overseas organizations, corporations, or governments. But okay, I fully expect that domestically, we're going to have influences trying to push us one way or the other. And the digital lives that we lead, the footprint that we have, it's a lot easier nowadays, more so than ever, I would submit, to comb through that information and certainly find out what your fears are, what your hopes are, and depending on the motivation of the person using the data, try to manipulate behaviors one way or another. Well, now today, the Senate Intelligence Committee, they're having a hearing, and there's some testimony that struck me a little bit, and I want to use a piece from the Hill to get into it, and then we'll get into more of the Trump madness that is occurring. This one from the Hill, Brett Samuels. Former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson said Wednesday that warnings about Russian interference in the 2016 election went unnoticed because of the Access Hollywood tape. Senator Dianne Feinstein asked Johnson during a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing on election security why his department did not alert the American people leading up to the 2016 election that Russians were attempting to meddle in the process. Johnson said this: "Well, Senator, the American people were told." We do have some sound of this. Yeah. Brian, if you would, let's play cut number 90.
We told the public on October 7th exactly what was happening, and frankly, it did not get the attention that I thought it deserved at the time.
He noted that he and then Director of National Intelligence James Clapper issued a statement on October 7th that stated the intelligence community was confident the Russian government was behind efforts to interfere in the upcoming election. To paraphrase that, he said this a couple of times. Here's another quote from The Hill. "Frankly, it did not get the attention that I thought it should have received. It was below the fold news the next day because the release of the Access Hollywood video the same day and a number of other events," Johnson said on Wednesday. "I was expecting follow-up from a lot of journalists, and we never got that because everyone was focused on the campaign and that video and that debate that Sunday," he added. The Washington Post published its story on the tape on October 8th of 2016. The tape, which was recorded in 2005, of course, if you know, featured President Trump bragging about groping and kissing women without their consent. Very presidential.
That's the way I think of presidents.
All the time, right? I mean, this is now the new standard. We got a poll on this today. We're going to get we'll have some fun today as well, but this is the serious stuff. I think we need to eat our broccoli and address this. Following its release, The Hill reports, multiple women came forward to accuse Trump of sexual misconduct. Trump apologized for the comments and described them as locker room talk. Johnson and current DHS head Kirstjen Nielsen testified to the Senate Intelligence Committees amid concerns that Russia will attempt to meddle in this year's midterm elections. So there's the backdrop. Now we have some sound from the testimony today. Let's start with former DHS Jay Johnson at the beginning, talking about the sanctions, and now the new administration, perhaps they should step up, but will they? I don't know. Jay Johnson, cut 87.
The sanctions we issued in late December have not worked as an effective deterrent, and it's now on the current administration to add to those and follow through on those.
And I have zero confidence that that will happen at all.
Now I've heard some pushback from some conservatives. Why didn't Obama, if this was such a big thing, why didn't Obama do anything about this? Are you kidding me? During Clinton's campaign, are you kidding me? If Obama came out and said, by the way, I think the Russians are trying to help Trump, how is that going to go off?
Right.
Trump can walk around and say it's rigged all day long, but if Obama even mentions it, you're trying to sway the election.
Put your thumbs on the scale. Well, I mean, it was a tough spot for the current administration, but ultimately the sanctity and purity of our election should override, in my personal opinion. Jay Johnson testifying today, the Senate Intelligence Committee on Election Security, cut number 88.
National elections are decided in this country in a few precincts in a few key swing states. The outcome, therefore, may dance on the head of a pin.
And we already played the cut. He told everybody, but it didn't get any attention. Now, you know, to be the conspiratorial kind of guy, you got to wonder if the timing of all of this, because certainly Russian election meddling, you know, not nearly as fun or sexy as the Access Hollywood tape.
And remember, everybody basically said once that hit, oh, that sunk him. That's it. There's no reason to worry about it because Hillary's going to win now that that happened.
Jay Johnson testifying today. Apparently, state officials, I wonder if that's happening here in Wisconsin, are going to take this seriously going forward. Cut 91.
I'm pleased to see that state election officials are taking this seriously and that the current Department of Homeland Security is helping them do that.
And finally, Jay Johnson's testimony, 92.
I'm very concerned about the information platform. There are almost no barriers to entry or exit, and it is largely unregulated space.
Unregulated space, former DHS head Jay Johnson. Now, current DHS head Kirstjen Nielsen also testifying. Republican Senator Susan Collins asking her about what actions they are taking. Let's start with cut number 1. This is Senator Collins.
Secretary Nielsen, at this point, we know for certain that the Russians were relentless in their efforts, and also that those efforts are ongoing. And yet, when I listen to your testimony, I hear no sense of urgency to really get on top of this issue. When we held our last hearing in June, I was dismayed to learn that not a single chief state election official had received a security clearance nearly 8 months after the 2016 elections. We already are in an election year. We've had the by-elections in Virginia and New Jersey. We've had special elections in Pennsylvania and Alabama. Our main primary is in June. What specifically is DHS doing to accommodate what you said was sponsoring 3 officials per state for clearances? That's 150 officials. How many have actually received the clearances, and what specific actions did you take in the elections that have already occurred?
Well, thank you, Senator. That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. Now, current DHS head Kirstjen Nielsen responds to Senator Susan Collins' testimony today, Senate Intelligence Committee on election security.
Let me just first start by saying not only is this of extreme urgency to the department, but as you know, we're expending not only extraordinary resources to provide any support at the request of states, but we are prioritizing election efforts and risk and vulnerability assessments for our partners in state and locals over all other critical infrastructure sectors. With respect to the security clearances, we've done 2 things. We've worked out a process with the interagency such that if we have intel, we will read in the appropriate state election officials that day. So we're not waiting for clearances. If we have something to share, we will read them in and share it that day. With respect to the clearances, we are doing our best to speed up the process. We've prioritized them, as I said, over other clearances for other sectors. We have about 20 that have received the full clearance. We're granting interim secret clearances as quickly as we can.
20 out of 150?
Yes, ma'am. And so we look, I've spoken with the chairman and the vice chair just before. We certainly look forward to working with this committee government-wide on how we can speed up the security clearances.
So 20 out of 150 security clearances for state officials doesn't seem to be moving along very quickly, current DHS head states. Jay Johnson, the former DH, has stated, well, the sanctions that we had in place didn't do much. We need the current administration, the Trump administration, the collusion-accused administration to step up. So what? Seemingly sandbagging the current efforts and having to rely on the guy who could have been colluding with the Russians in the first place on our election integrity? This is a problem. I am not impressed. This is testimony today, folks. Senate Intelligence Committee. Coming back, Senator Mark Warner, he has some comments on this as well. This is a serious part of the show. Election integrity, very important. Russian meddling, very important. Let's address the serious stuff before we get to the salacious. You can join me on the phones, or you can text out as well, 844-967-2789. We are the Devil's Advocates, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The process is rigged. This whole election is being rigged. The next time, we're going to win the old-fashioned way.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Everybody buckle up. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's three easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Hey, this is Stu Daniels, host of Stu Man PM. Politics and music heard every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Stu Man PM is your Sunday afternoon update on two of my favorite topics, politics and music. Join me this Sunday when my guest will be Congresswoman Gwen Moore. We'll be talking politics, we'll be talking music, and we'll be talking Hamilton. Stu Man PM, Sundays 4 to 6 p.m. here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
And welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Streaming live on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and on the phones or text. Super cool texting now available at 844-967-2789. Talking about the Senate Intelligence Committee today regarding election security. Senator Mark Warner also had some thoughts on this. I want to share this with the audience as well. When you get a chance there, Brian, you ready? All right, let's do cut number 80, Senator Mark Warner.
More must be done, from hardening our election, registration, and voting systems, to ensuring that voting machines have backup paper ballots, to instituting audits and providing additional federal assistance to those states that request it.
I like backup paper ballots. I think that's a good idea, Mark. Let's keep going. Senator Mark Warner today.
The threat is real, and the need to act is urgent. We need the administration to accelerate its efforts. Perhaps most of all, we need a president who will acknowledge the gravity of this threat.
I'm not clear that we have a president that will acknowledge the gravity of this threat. In fact, I remember him essentially being the only one over the course of time that says, well, it may or may not be, who knows, remember some fat guy, all that stuff. Let's go one more. Senator Mark Warner on election security.
The fact that the president did not even bring up the topic of our election security when he called Vladimir Putin to congratulate him on his victory in a pre-cooked election, I believe is extremely troubling.
You think? I find that troubling as well. We have concerns. We know that this country, or at least the state, and I'm not going to broad brush the entire population of Russia, but certainly these state actors are apparently, if you believe the intelligence, if you believe anyone that knows anything about this stuff other than Donald Trump, they have attempted, they did influence, and they're going to do it. They may be doing it right now. And President Trump picks up the phone, congratulates Putin on his election victory, doesn't mention his concerns, our concerns. Perhaps he is not concerned, but certainly senators, Republicans, and Democrats are concerned. Election integrity professionals are concerned about Russian interference in our elections. And yet, Trump did not address that. Trump did not address the fact that the hackers in Russia on a drop of a hat can access and take control over our power grid, our electrical grid. Now, maybe we're all just, as Americans here, getting back to us what we've been doing to others. We have our own cyber warfare efforts, of course. But to have a president that seemingly doesn't seem to mind, doesn't seem to address, doesn't seem to believe what his advisors around him are telling, what the intelligence agencies around him are telling him, these are concerns. He picked up the phone to congratulate, even though it's been released that Donald Trump was given a warning from his own staff in caps, do not congratulate. Maybe he read it, maybe he didn't, but that leaked out from the White House. Apparently some in the White House aren't too fond of this man either. We're going to get to that next. You can join on the phones, 844-967-2789, the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Russia, if you're listening.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters, District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The Wisconsin Senate voted yesterday to give Wisconsin residents a one-weekend sales tax holiday and a one-time $100 child tax rebate. Republicans hope the giveaways can help the governor's chance of being re-elected. The state of Wisconsin has agreed to pay nearly $19 million to a former teen inmate at the Copper Hills School for Girls who suffered brain damage after a suicide attempt. And you can learn how to create a lead-safe home this evening at a free workshop. The workshop will be held at the Wisconsin Black Historical Society, 2620 West Center Street, from 6 to 8 p.m., and everyone is welcome. Outside today, mostly cloudy, then clearing skies tonight. Lows tonight in the mid-20s. For tomorrow, sunshine with highs in the low 40s. For Friday, sunshine with highs around 40 degrees. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. You can join me on the phone, 844-967-2789. Curdy has an excused absence today, so it's going to be me and Fancy Brian and all of you holding down the fort. Of course, we have some guests coming up later in the show. 4:30, State Senator Chris Larson is going to come in studio and hang out, get us updated on the happenings in the state of Wisconsin. And at 5 o'clock, the happy hour arrives. Our pal Joe Zepecki, Zepecki Communications, a Dem strategist. He's going to join me for the entire hour, and we're going to talk all sorts of politics, national and state life, love, philosophy, you know, the whole gambit.
And the American way.
Yes. Speaking of the American way, our president, well, he had a call with Putin. This is from yesterday, Brian. I'm going to need your help on this one. Let's remind everybody what happened. Trump, he called Putin, cut number 4.
I had a call with President Putin and congratulated him on the victory, his electoral victory.
And I don't know if you know this, but apparently he's going to get together with Putin sometime in the near future, and he repeated that at least 3 times. I'm not clear what goes on in this man's head. I mean, it's one thing to talk off the cuff. I mean, we kind of make a living doing that sometimes. But to repeat yourself over and over and over again, it's one thing for me to promote the show, what's coming up later. It's another thing to tell everybody around you as you're the president in a press conference that sometime in the near future I'm going to be sitting down with with President Putin.
I got to tell you, as the sound guy that pulls a lot of the cuts for these things, it's interesting because I don't know if he's repeating himself or I have the same cut just from a different source.
Right.
Because he says the same exact things over and over again. And on the Putin call, I do want to ask you, like, what do you expect him to say? Like, that was very bad, you're a jerk, and bye. You know what I mean? Like, for me, the more troubling thing is that his staff feels the need to remind him not to shoot himself in the face.
Well, and remember him listening to the kids who were the victims of the mass shooting in Florida. He had his note cards. I'm listening. I hear you.
That's concerning. Either he's fine and some staff member is an idiot and putting stupid notes on his card, or He needs this so badly that somebody's putting it in all caps on his note card. Either way, both of those scenarios are troubling.
Well, it's even better than that. CNN is reporting Trump furious over leak of warning not to congratulate Putin. President Trump was infuriated after it quickly leaked that he had been directly instructed by his national security advisors in briefing materials not to congratulate Russian President Vladimir Putin on his recent election victory. During their call Tuesday morning, a source familiar with the president's thinking said. Trump was fuming Tuesday night, asking his allies and outside advisors who they thought had leaked the information, noting that only a small group of staffers have access to those materials and would have known what guidance was included for the Putin call, the source said.
Wait, so the guy who polls his guests at Mar-a-Lago for national security issues
Right.
is wondering who leaked the information. It may have been him and he forgot.
You never know with Trump. According to the source, the incident resurfaces his long-held belief that there are individuals inside his administration, especially on the national security realm, who are actively working to undermine him. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly is also furious that a confidential presidential briefing became public knowledge, a White House official said, and intends to address the matter Wednesday as aides try to figure who disclosed the warning. If the story is accurate, that means someone leaked the president's briefing papers. Leaking such information is a fireable offense and likely illegal, senior White House official told CNN on Wednesday. The Washington Post first reported Tuesday that Trump congratulated Putin despite warnings from multiple national security advisors and briefing materials that said, and I'll say this in all caps, do not congratulate. The White House declined to officially comment to CNN on the matter, with an official adding that they cannot comment on alleged classified deliberative documents allegedly provided to the president. There's a lot of alleged going on there. If you have two alleged, does that negate it?
Allegedly.
The president often makes calls to foreign leaders while he is still in the residence during what has been dubbed executive time. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster has been known to join Trump in the residence during these calls and was present during his Tuesday morning call with Putin. According to the public schedule released by the White House on Tuesday, the president was not scheduled to be in the West Wing until noon when he greeted the Saudi Crown Prince. The leak, which one source said contributes to the ongoing atmosphere of paranoia in the West Wing, irked White House aides as well. Though the reaction has been described as rattled, a White House official said it is more anger and disappointment. This is unacceptable, the White House official said, speaking about the leak that some believe was an attempt to embarrass the president and McMaster. Another called it ridiculous. One of the White House officials described anger and disappointment in the West Wing over the leak. It's still unclear if Trump actually read the guidance that was given to him by his advisors. Multiple officials have noted that he often follows his own path during his calls with world leaders. Oh, that's going to be, this bodes so well for the summit with the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un coming up sometime soon. Trump's going to go his own way on that, follow his own path. That concerns me as well. Perhaps national security advisors are there for a reason. I continue on the CNN piece. The substance of the call was not seen as a major deal by national security staffers, but the leak certainly was. Another White House official didn't dispute to CNN Tuesday the language on the notes provided by members of Trump's National Security Council, but said Trump didn't read or see the note card. The official added that Trump often disregards advice and calls with foreign leaders. Trump's comments drew significant criticism among U.S. politicians, including Arizona GOP Senator John McCain, a noted Russia hawk, who said an American president does not lead the free world by congratulating dictators on winning sham elections. There you go, from CNN. So, leaks from inside the White House. Best case scenario is Trump didn't read it. I guess the worst scenario would be that Trump read it and totally ignored it. And I would submit that perhaps this kind of behavior from the President of the United States to a despot like Putin encourages Putin, not bringing up any of the grievances that we have with their activities and trying to influence our elections, our country, etc., and giving him a pass and ignoring his national security team. So what gives anybody any confidence that he's going to behave any differently when it comes to dealing with Kim Jong-un? 844-967-2789. Let's get to some callers. Jake from Milwaukee, you're up. Thanks for calling, man. What do you got for us today?
Yeah, did you guys have a coup? Is Dom not Dom, but is coup is he tied up and locked in the bathroom and trying to get out right now?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Got a ball gag in his mouth and he's hogtied in the basement, man. I'll let him out later.
All right, that's my guess. You guys just sound so like oh, the boss is gone. We can just hang out now.
Right? It's a party time now, Jake.
Yeah. Anyways, when you were about the homeland security and Russia's intervention in our elections, you always have to ask yourself, who or what has the Russian interfering in our elections helping? Who is it helping?
Now, who does it
benefit? We know it's helping Russia. Who does it benefit? We know it's helping Russia. We got that. But who is it benefiting here? And you always have to keep your question in mind. It's a pretty simple answer, the Republican agenda. I just think that they don't care. They're happy to commit treason in order to win, to advance their agenda. That's why you had Paul Ryan and what's his name. They knew Russia had Trump and that Rohrabacher guy, and so did Mitch McConnell. They knew too, but they let it happen. So either by not caring after the fact or knowing before, most of the Republican Party is an accomplice to treason in my mind.
Well, and Jake and I'm so hesitant to go there. You know what I mean? And I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I think if you follow the crumbs, one could make that bet. And if you were a betting man, sometimes I am, maybe I'll take that action depending on the line. But what concerns me is is this specifically because of the election? Obviously this is an election year. Is it the Republicans that are, because if you believe what the CEO of Cambridge Analytica said, and those are some smart folks who do nothing but harvest data and try to spit back and get reactions. It's not about facts, right? It's not about the facts. If you accept that premise, It's not about the facts. It's about the emotion. And we have a cult of personality with Donald Trump. And certainly a lot of folks are just hate the man. Hate's a strong word. I met the guy. I don't hate the man, but I'm very concerned as a citizen of this country that he may have been doing some things that he should not have been. So absolutely, I support the investigation continuing unencumbered. But it's the Republicans who are concerned about the cult of personality, concerned about the 30% diehards that all they care about is whether or not, as a Republican, are you on Trump's side or are you not?
So they're willing to let the country take a hit from Trump to do that. So it's still in there. They can stop Trump, but they don't do it because he's their useful idiot. And along with Russia's help, they hope to be in power in 2018. That's what's going on right now. And every time there's more information with Cambridge Analytica, it's just going to get deeper. We're going to find out. It's just going to get worse. It really is. We're not even at the bottom yet.
No, I think we're far from that, Jack. Hey, man, thanks for the call. We certainly appreciate it. 844-967-2789. I hope it's something like the salacious stuff. The porn star and the suit against the contestant on his show where he perhaps will have to testify, perhaps will have to give comment. Maybe it's one of these other more minor things and issues that will take this president down. But if Mueller's investigation comes back with, think of the worst possible scenario, and that is what it is, how do we react as a country? It is no longer becomes funny and amusing about the hypocrisy of him telling his son not to cheat on his wife while she's pregnant, while Trump does the same thing. Those are fun little things to talk about, but we're talking about loyalty to this country. We're talking about the presidency perhaps being undermined, influenced, willingly so, by a foreign state government. Those are very scary and troubling things to consider in what happens to us as a country in the aftermath. 844-967-2789, the Devil's Advocates on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Your call's next.
Frankly, Putin is backing a person that's truly an evil person. If I were to guess, I have one name in mind. It's not about me.
I'm not blaming anybody. I don't like to go back and blame. I like to look to the future. I'm not blaming anybody.
But there's been no collusion, no obstruction, and virtually everybody agrees to that.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order in classic corner tavern.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
I'm Glendale Mayor Brian Kennedy, running for re-election in April. You can learn more about my campaign at kennedyforglendelemayor.com. I'm joined today by my friend Matt Flynn, former State Democratic Party Chair and candidate for governor. Matt, why are you running for governor?
We used to have honest government, clean water, and high wages in this state. Now under Walker, we have corrupt government, dirty water, and low wages. I'm going to change that.
You can vote for Brian Kennedy for mayor on April 3rd in Glendale and Matt Flynn for governor in the Democratic primary on August 14th. Paid for by Kennedy for Glendale.
The Devil's Advocates.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, our friend, live via phone. What about simply raising the age of weapons purchases to 21 years of age?
We're sending 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds over to Afghanistan, and they're dying. They ought to be able to vote. They ought to be able to have a beer, and they ought to be able to buy a gun to hunt with as well.
Are you suggesting we lower the drinking age?
No. Can't they do that now? What is the age nowadays?
It's 21, sir.
We drink when we toast. We toast when we drink.
Yikes.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and on the phones and text. There's so many ways to contribute, to join, to be a part of Resistance Radio. The number is 844-967-2789. I know we have some callers holding. Be patient. I'll be with you momentarily. Greg Sargent, Morning Plum, Washington Post, articulates something that I think I'm getting to, and I want to share it with you right now. President Trump just uncorked a new round again today of Twitter attacks this morning on special counsel Robert Mueller and the English language, quoting one of his staunchest legal allies as follows. I think President Trump was right when he said there never should have been a special counsel, COUNCIL, appointed because there was no probable cause for believing that there was any crime, collusion, or otherwise, or obstruction of justice, unquote. Yet Republicans appear increasingly dug into their positions. Their stance is that, of course, Mueller should be allowed to finish his investigation, but they will not act legislatively to protect the probe because this is not at all necessary, as Trump would never dream of taking action against it, since he would face severe consequences that Republicans will not enunciate in advance. But a Republican lawmaker has just given away the real game behind the carefully crafted straddle. Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee was pressed by the Washington Examiner on why Republicans are hesitant to protect Mueller, and this is what happened. Republicans in Congress are hesitant to antagonize President Trump ahead of a difficult midterm election, wary of sparking a backlash from a committed grassroots base more loyal to the White House. Amid sky-high Democratic enthusiasm and a developing blue wave, Republicans can't afford a war with Trump that depresses GOP turnout. Republicans might be worried about Trump's attack on special counsel Robert Mueller, but they are reluctant to push back, much less support legislation to curtail the president's ability to fire Mueller and sideline the federal probe. Here's a quote from Corker. The president is, as you know, you've seen his numbers among the Republican base. It's very strong. It's more than strong. It's tribal in nature. Of course, Corker is going to retire at the end of the year after periodically sparring with the president. Pardon. Corker goes on to say, people who tell me, who are on the trail, say, look, people don't ask about issues anymore. They don't care about issues. They want to know if you're with Trump or not. Now, again, this is a Republican senator retiring, Bob Corker, presumably free to speak his mind. It's amazing how when someone's going to retire, then they have a spine. But
I'm sorry, I heard that Ryan was going to retire. I wonder if he's going to develop one.
Well, he's going to make his decision in the spring, right? And the spring is here, so we'll see if the speaker sticks around. But again, that kind of goes back to the same mantra we heard from the former CEO of Cambridge Analytica. It's not about the facts, it's about the passion. Continuing on from Philip Bump in the Washington Post, this is a candid glimpse from a leading GOP lawmaker into what's really driving Republican straddle on Mueller. As I've noted, Trump's attacks on Mueller are putting Republicans in a tough spot. The educated swing voters who are driving the Democratic anti-Trump resurgence support the Mueller probe and may vote to oust Republicans who won't check Trump's excesses. But Trump's attacks probably rally GOP base voters, large percentages of whom see the Mueller probe as a witch hunt, making it harder for the GOP to protect that investigation. Corker just conceded that this is driving motive. He suggested that GOP voters equate being, quote-unquote, with Trump in a tribal sense with not acting to protect Mueller. Republicans are mindful of this as they craft their position towards Mueller, which includes rhetorical support for the probe with no new substantive limits on Trump's power to do what they say they don't want him to do. 844-967-2789. Let's get to some phone calls here. I believe we got Pizza in the Box. Hey, Mike, welcome. What do you got for us today?
Well, Trump wants to build a wall, and he talks about, rapists and murderers. I think we should build 4 walls around Ian Putin, a rapist and a murderer. Can you imagine Trump suing Putin for releasing the shots of Putin riding bareback?
Oh, gee. Literally riding the horse bareback? That's a visual I don't want to
say that? I just said that, didn't I?
Yeah, well, I mean...
A Palomino. Riding a Palomino.
This is the world we live in now, Mike. Let me ask you this, and I know you're dialed and you're passionate progressive, Mike. Do you think it's dangerous? I mean, if it were to be one of the women and one of these issues with how he treats women and to take him down, would that be safer for this country than Miller coming back and saying, "Yep, he colluded. We got it. Here's the proof. We need to, impeach him and try him for treason." I mean, he could potentially be impeached for both of those reasons. Don't you think the Republicans should take the path of least resistance on the moral side of it? If it was a Dem, they'd already be impeaching them right now.
Pretty freaking sad, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, no problem with treason or anything else. No problem with policies that pollute, destroy, and everybody hating everybody. But yeah, the porn star, yeah, we believe her. I believe her, too. I just don't understand why.
Thanks, Pizza Box Mike. Appreciate it. As always, folks, you can join us. That's 1 hour in the books. Coming up next hour, we've got State Senator Chris Larson at 4:30 in the 5 o'clock happy hour. Joe Zepecki, Zepecki Communications. He's a Dem strategist. And, of course, you always welcome to join me. Crudy's got an excused absence, 844-967-2789.
And if it is Russia, which is probably not, nobody knows who it is.
Мы будем кататься на вас, как лошадь до мирового господства.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
First step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
They can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Silence broken. Stay out of the storm. I'm Richard Johnson. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is telling users his company has a responsibility to protect your data, and if they can't, they don't deserve your business. In a long post on Facebook, he explained how the data mining firm Cambridge Analytica got hold of millions of users' information through a professor who broke company rules by sharing it. He's also promising reforms, but media correspondent Brian Stelter says in doing so, Zuckerberg's putting in peril his core business.
User data and the exploitation of user data, selling that to third parties who can then use it for, to boost their own brands or their own political candidates, that is caked in to Facebook. That is what Facebook does.
Already there's word of a lawsuit, a Maryland woman claiming Facebook and Cambridge Analytica improperly gathered her information without her permission. The warning from the mayor of New York City:
if you don't need to be out this evening, don't go out.
Sound advice for pretty much everyone in the Northeast as a spring storm rivaling the record of 1958 has covered New York and far beyond with snow. And it's affecting life from coast to coast as airlines have canceled more than 4,400 flights. Another big warning to the people of Austin, Texas, from the Director of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen.
Although the situation appears to be over, we urge the public to remain alert and report any suspicious activity or packages or devices.
The suspected Austin serial package bomber, 23-year-old Mark Condit, died in an explosion early this morning as police surrounded his car. The economy is strong, and that is why the Federal Reserve Chair says they're raising the rates of the Fed's key interest rate by 0.25%. Wall Street, though, not so convinced after trading up 250 points in the session. The Dow closed down 45 points. The NASDAQ lost 19. I'm Rich Johnson.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Could be enough to make a gourmet gag, or it's just a sign of these global times. Hamburgers are now a huge deal in France.
The French have fallen in love with the fast food staple, according to a new study by restaurant consultants Gira Conceal. The new figures out this week show sales of the jambon beurre, the classic French ham and cheese sandwich, have been passed by the sale of American-style cheeseburgers, $1.4 billion to $1.2 billion last year. Overall, both sandwiches are doing well, with the ham and cheese growing at 1.3% in 2017, but burger sales have skyrocketed up 9% over the last year in France. I'm John Stolnis.
For years, Starbucks has been trying to build a more environmentally friendly coffee cup, and now it wants your help. It's spending $10 million to solicit designs for a cup that's easy to recycle. The dilemma is the tiny plastic layer that keeps a hot cup from collapsing, also keeps it from decomposing.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Grads of Life.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A new business fraud lawsuit claims the Russ Darrow car dealership in West Bend was involved in a scheme to have fake buyers send SUVs to China, then stiff the lending company for the loan on the vehicle. The Wisconsin Senate has approved Governor Walker's $100 million school safety plan, but voted down a plan to strengthen gun laws. The Wisconsin Senate voted yesterday to give Wisconsin residents a one-weekend sales tax holiday and a one-time $100 child tax rebate. Republicans hope the giveaways can help the governor's chance of being reelected. And the LA Clippers are in town tonight to take on the Bucks. Outside today, mostly cloudy, then clearing skies tonight. Lows tonight in the mid-20s. For tomorrow, sunshine with highs in the low 40s. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Dom here. Got Fancy Brian in the producer's booth.
Heyo.
And, of course, Crudy has an excused absence, but you can stick around and join me on the phone. I love talking to you folks. 844-967-2789. Also now a text line. Please test it out. Let me know what you think. Of course, we have a big show yet to come, 4:30 today. That's just in 30 minutes, folks. State Senator Chris Larson, Wisconsin State Senator, he's going to join me here on Brady Street, get an update on what's happening here in the state of Wisconsin. And as I mentioned, 5 o'clock happy hour. Joe Zepecki, Zepecki Communications, a Dem strategist and a friend of ours, will also come in studio. Lots of friends going to hang out. It's going to be a great time. Please stick around. All we ask is 3 hours a day. So let's get back to it. Donald Trump, collusion, Russians, all this intrigue. And of course, ultimately it comes down to, can we trust who's in the White House and do we trust our election process? Went through that in the first hour. There's a piece in The Guardian, this book, Russian Roulette, Michael Isikoff and David Korn. The Guardian wrote up a piece about this, and there's some news in here. I want to share it with you. Again, this comes on the heels of Donald Trump freaking out again today about the Mueller probe, and it comes on the heels of Donald Trump brown-nosing and kissing ass President Putin in Russia, calling him to congratulate him on his victory, specifically electoral victory, without bringing up any of the grievances that we have. Perhaps he didn't think it was Friday. He only do grievances on Friday. So here is Charles Kaiser on the book. Whenever I finish a book like the Russian Roulette, I ask myself the same question. Why is anyone still debating whether there was collusion between the Russians and Donald Trump? Like Collusion, a comprehensive volume by The Guardian's Luke Harding, the narrative by investigative reporters Michael Isikoff and David Korn leaves the reader nearly overwhelmed by evidence that Trump and Vladimir Putin have been striving to collaborate for years. For years, they say. It was 2013 when Trump first tweeted that he wanted to be Putin's quote-unquote best friend. Later, he told Fox Putin looked like a great leader. Putin's constant goals have been to destroy NATO and the EU. Trump was a big advocate of Brexit, which was a body blow to the EU, and in the 2016 campaign, he called NATO obsolete. Trump began visiting Moscow in 1987, and his on-again, off-again effort to build a Trump Tower there continued for 3 decades, right through the presidential election. Now, that seems to contradict perhaps what the president was telling us at the time. In 2006, Trump became executive producer of a Russian version of The Apprentice. I did not know that. Years later, he dismissed the massive evidence that Putin routinely orders the murder of journalists and other dissidents, telling MSNBC, I haven't seen that. I don't know that he has. Have you been able to prove that? Then, of course, there's the Palm Beach estate he bought for $45 million in 2004. After the housing bubble burst, he sold that house for $95 million to a Russian oligarch, Dmitry Rybolovlev. Nearly all the other stations of the Twisted Trump Russian cross are covered here, including the famous Trump Tower meeting between Russian emissaries and Donald Trump Jr., Paul Manafort, and Jared Kushner. Now, to all my friends out there, and I have several of them, many of them, who say no collusion, no collusion, no collusion. Well, what were they doing in Trump Tower? If there's no collusion, why did Papadopoulos plead guilty for lying about speaking to the Russians? What was he speaking to the Russians about? Russian dressing? I don't think so. I'll continue on in The Guardian. Although the Russians failed at that moment, talking about the Trump Tower meeting, to produce promised dirt on Hillary Clinton, the authors point out that Trump's senior advisors now had new reason to believe that Putin's regime wanted Trump to win and was willing to act clandestinely to boost his chances. The campaign did not report this private Russian outreach to the FBI. The Trump campaign did not report the Russian outreach to the FBI. Why wouldn't they? Is this a normal course of doing business? Well, perhaps it is. Maybe he's so used to dealing with tyrants and despots and dictators and money men from other countries that, hell, this is how it always works. Well, if that's the case, then that goes to tell you a little bit something about his character and how he operates. If he knew he shouldn't have been doing it and didn't disclose that he was discussing things with Russia or didn't disclose that Russia was reaching out to him, that also tells you a whole lot. Now,
two quick things, though.
Yeah, man.
Paul Manafort, his original campaign director, right?
After Lewandowski, right?
Okay. Again, going through so many people.
I know. Fair.
But this guy, if you look at Manafort's resume, it's all dictators and third world country, despots, things like that. Of course, Trump's campaign is going to run like that. And then my other thing is, how long is it going to be before they start going, so what? They wanted us to win. So what? They had their own opinions. You're entitled to your opinion. This is a free country. We're supposed to promote freedoms. So what? They wanted us to win. So what if they helped us? We didn't tell them anything, right?
All is fair in love and war.
That's the only way they can go at this point.
Well, and it seems, our as a country, I'm not going to say mine or yours, but it seems like our tolerance for these kinds of things because of Trump and the way he operates, continues to grow. I mean, any of these items on the past president or presidents before would have brought them down. I mean, can you imagine if Bush #1, the first Bush, the CIA director Bush, had sex with porn stars, was paying them off? I mean, they would have ran that guy out on a rail. So
Could you imagine if Obama tried to talk to North Korea without? Fox News already slammed Obama for trying to talk to North Korea with no preconceived issues. But then Trump isn't a patriot for doing so, and he's bold and all that.
Listen. A true patriot would never, ever wear a tan suit.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Most importantly.
Continuing on from The Guardian, a Russian roulette review by Charles Kaiser. Russian government officials, Korn and Isakov write, those are the authors, could well have interpreted that as a signal, the fact that the campaign did not report the private outreach to the FBI. Well, the Russians would probably interpret that, and I concur with Isakov and Korn, as a signal that Trump would not mind or protest if Moscow took other actions to benefit the Republican candidate. The Russians had offered to help, and Trump's campaign had demonstrated a willingness to take what Moscow had to offer. Almost any of these details would have been enough to torpedo any other presidential campaign, but Trump somehow managed to weather every single crisis. A big reason for that was the astonishingly poor news judgment of the mainstream media, including, in particular, the New York Times. A Harvard study of mainstream election coverage revealed that there were roughly 4 times as many Clinton-related sentences that described scandals as opposed to policies, whereas Trump-related sentences were 1.5 times as likely to be about policy as scandal. There were more than 60,000 sentences published about Clinton and her emails, and less than 10,000 about Trump's connections to Russia. Barack Obama's dithering in the face of Russian intrusion also contributed to the disastrous outcome. An Obama official told Korn and Isakov it wasn't until 2 months after the election that all the pieces came together for us. When they did, Vice President Joe Biden had a visceral reaction. If this is true, it's treason. Side note, Biden said he'd have beat the hell out of Trump if he was in high school. But we'll get to there perhaps later.
I don't think he's graduated up to high school yet. He's still in the junior high, maybe 6th grade area.
Push him down the stairwell.
At least by reading standards.
Now, and this, again, a former vice president and perhaps a presidential contender, still a guy with influence in politics in this country, talking about beating up guys like Trump. I mean, this is the discourse has been lowered, and it's not my fault, Brian. It's not my fault.
Listen, I love Uncle Joe, but he's a little too handsy to run in this day and age, even if he is trying to be innocent.
If it's true, it's treason. That's what Vice President Joe Biden said. Continuing, the only Democrat who acted appropriately during the campaign was Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid, who directly attacked the FBI Director James Comey for his double standard. As soon as you came into possession of the slightest innuendo related to Secretary Clinton, you rushed to publicize it in the most negative light possible, he wrote, adding that it has become clear that you possess explosive information about close ties and coordination between Donald Trump, his advisors, and the Russian government. The public has a right to know this information. Comey kept mostly silent. Much has been written elsewhere about what may well have been the single worst story published in the final days before the election. Immediately after Slate published a brilliant and nuanced piece by Franklin Foer about unexplained communications between a Trump business server and Alpha Bank in Moscow, the Times executive editor Dean Baquet approved an article with this headline: "Investigating Donald Trump, FBI sees no clear link to Russia." I remember this. We talked about this when this was occurring. We read that article on the air. I continue. Among its many other failings, that headline contradicted the story's most important findings. U.S. intelligence agency, quote, had been compelled by apparent connections between some of Mr. Trump's aides and Moscow to open a broad investigation into possible links between the Russian government and Republican presidential candidate, unquote. As Korn and Isikoff explain, the editors decided to make the FBI failure to prove a connection the article's theme instead of the much more important fact of the investigation itself. Editorialize, being able to choose the headline, very important. What is new in Russian Roulette, the book, about the Times piece is how the ex-British spy Christopher Steele reacted to it. Steele was the author of the dossier, which contained details of extensive contacts between Trump aides and the Russians in 2016, as well as the notorious story about Trump's alleged activities in the Moscow Ritz Hotel. Before the Times piece appeared, Steele had been considering a trip to Washington to discuss his findings with members of Congress and perhaps hold a press conference on the steps of the Capitol. Once he saw that the Times was poo-pooing the whole subject, Steele canceled his trip. If Steele had gone public, could that have been enough to change the election? That is one of the many tantalizing what-ifs in this compelling account. Harding's book is more thorough about several important aspects of history, including the extremely strange role of Deutsche Bank, which extended hundreds of millions of dollars of loans to Trump, but at the same time Moscow branch was laundering hundreds of millions of dollars for Russian oligarchs. But Russian Roulette still makes many important contributions to this extraordinary story, a saga which I believe is destined to bring an abrupt end to the Trump presidency. That's Charles Kaiser from The Guardian in reviewing the book Russian Roulette. These facts, I guess, do you believe these facts? Are these facts? Are these storylines? I mean, if this wasn't true, would Trump be suing? I mean, he's suing a private citizen for $20 million for sex he didn't have with a woman he doesn't know. And now, well, maybe he doesn't claim he didn't know her, but he's still suing a private citizen for $20 million.
I can't wait for the season finale for this to all wrap up, because this is a show. Oh, wait. I wonder why. You know that this is the last season of Scandal? They can't compete.
Right. How can you? Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789. One more segment, then State Senator Chris Larson is going to join me in studio here. Got a poll. We love polls. Oh, we're going to tease it a little bit.
You love polls.
I'm not dancing. We are the Devil's Advocates. Come back with us. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
We'd like to have Russia's help. Very important.
Oh, you're my best friend.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within. Oh.
B, find the positives?
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy?
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies!
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
You've packed the smartphones, headphones, tablets, water snacks, cooler, sunscreen, bikes, skateboards, games, videos, sunglasses.
There's no room for people in here.
Just don't wimp out on the most important thing.
Deep fried
butter on a stick. No, seatbelts. Whether it's a long haul or short trip,
It's a win-win situation.
never give up until they buckle up. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We stream this fine product live on the Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, Devil Radio. Phone lines, 844-967-2789. We'll get to you momentarily. I teased the poll, and it's not a stripper poll, although in today's news cycle it certainly could be. This is a Quinnipiac University poll, and here's what it says. 67% to 29%. Trump is not a good role model for kids. What? A position held consistently across age groups ranging from 18 to 65 and up. Also, over half of voters, 55%, say the president does not have a sense of decency, while 42% says he does. And 59% of respondents said Trump does not share their values, and 53% said he doesn't care about the average American. Only 30% are proud to have Trump as commander-in-chief. 50% are embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. And those 30%, if the Mueller investigation concludes and the trajectory of information and maybe it's not good and it comes out that maybe he was doing something wrong, perhaps then the 30% will wane. But I'm not counting on it. 844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, you are up. Thanks for calling, man. What do you got today?
Hey, afternoon, Dom. I just want to make a quick comment. When I listen to Trump do your Walker ad, well, I guess it isn't yours, but you do it.
Yes.
He's just good. I mean, he is a good campaigner, and I laugh every time I hear that ad because he's just good. And for the love of God, I don't know why he doesn't try to govern towards the middle. You know, he'd probably do a lot better.
Well,
but
he's a BS artist, Paul. You know, I mean, he'd get up there unscripted,
right.
and you know, I went to many more Trump rallies than I care to admit. And he'd get up there and he would, you know, hit a few main lines and just talk some trash, you know, and rile the fans up, man. I mean, he is a great BS artist, no question. But he has no depth and he has no idea how to run a country, Paul.
Well, you are correct there. He should have surrounded himself with some better people. But what I'm amazed at the fact that he took down everybody in the Republican Party and actually took down the Democratic Party. Although I don't know. Well, he ran against Hillary. Maybe somebody else would have beat him. But, I mean, the guy's just a good campaigner. That's the only comment I wanted to make today, Dom.
All right. Thanks a lot, Paul. Appreciate it. Yeah, he won. I'm not sure if that says more about him than it does about us. Our friend, State Senator Chris Larson from Wisconsin. He's going to join me in studio next. Lots of goings-on in the Wisconsin Capitol yesterday. He's going to get us updated. Stick around. Senator Larson arrives.
I'm learning to fly around the clouds. But what goes up must come down. I'm learning to fly. I'm learning to fly.
I am not a role model.
I want to thank the President of the United States for his steadfast leadership.
I'm not paid to be a role model.
It'd be a lot cooler if
in
you
this
did.
hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Hey, this is Stu Daniels, host of Stu Man PM. Politics and music heard every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Stu Man PM is your Sunday afternoon update on two of my favorite topics, politics and music. Join me this Sunday when my guest will be Congresswoman Gwen Moore. We'll be talking politics, we'll be talking music, and we'll be talking Hamilton. Stu Man PM, Sundays 4 to 6 p.m. here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Believe me, there is no collusion. Believe me.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. At a committee hearing yesterday, State Assembly Democrats questioned whether it was appropriate to have the Department of Justice, led by Brad Schimmel, award the $100 million in grants that Governor Walker wants to spend on school security. And this Saturday is the March for Our Lives in Washington, D.C. and other cities across the United States, including several cities in Wisconsin. In Milwaukee, the march will start at the county courthouse at 901 North 9th Street at 10 a.m., then proceed to City Hall, where several speakers will address the students, teachers, and supporters. The event is scheduled to last until 3 p.m., and everyone is welcome. Outside today, mostly cloudy, then clearing skies tonight. Lows tonight in the mid-20s. For tomorrow, sunshine with highs in the low 40s. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crute are the devil's advocates.
And welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Been joined in studio by a fine guest, our friend, State Senator Chris Larson.
Back. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Welcome back to the show. We appreciate it. Now, you are the actual representative for this area.
I'm lucky enough to represent 1510 and you and everybody who's stopping in here. Yeah, this is me, Brady Street.
Awesome, man. Brady Street's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
We really have had a lot of fun. Not quite a year down here on Brady Street, but it has been a hell of a time. Well, thanks for coming in. Chris, Senate, are you guys working today? What's going on?
So we worked. We put in double hours yesterday, so we were until late last night. And frankly, I'm not sure if people want, what's considering what's happened in the state Senate, if they want us there all the time. But we were there till pretty late. We finished up past 10 o'clock or something, and then punted some stuff over to the assembly. So I was talking to my colleagues as they were taking the slog from Milwaukee over there to vote on the things that we left them. Including the Let's Not Talk About Guns special session by Scott Walker, the school safety
safety package. Now this passed, right?
So they amended a bill that had to do with a bunch of odd things, including tuberculosis, and they hijacked that bill and they redid everything. They added the 6 provisions in there, and they did it late in the session, and it was the last thing to pass.
Well, why wouldn't they just start out with a new bill?
I don't. There's a fight going on between the two houses, and it's not Democrat or Republican. This is just basically Scott Fitzgerald and Robin Voss don't get along for whatever reason.
Aww.
So I know. These are the pains of them having to realize that they were the ones in charge of our government for the last 7 years, and I think they're realizing, oh shoot, sometimes that's tough, and they've never figured out a way to get along. So one of them is doing it as a special session. The other one didn't want to do a special session for whatever reason.
All right, so school safety, very important. Another shooting was it yesterday, 2
Yeah.
days ago in the school. I mean, these things are happening all the time. I'm assuming there's some sort of new restriction on the availability of guns.
That was in the package? Yeah.
Nothing about guns. Was there any
No.
specifically gun-related language in the bill?
In the final bill that passed?
Yes.
No, nothing. It was all about school safety. It was all about, mental health, which is good. It was about providing funds, grants from the state, distributed by the Department of Justice, not DPI, not Tony Evers. God help us if he was going to be able to get some money in an election year.
He was in charge of all those union thugs, and he's running for governor. We can't give him any money.
Right. So it's that stuff that went through. It's kind of like throwing a box of Kleenex at people who are suffering from the plague. We've got 92 people dying on average every day in America from gun violence. It's gun violence. That's the problem. This is the only country where this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of addressing that, they're saying, oh, it's where it's happened that's the problem. So they can try and put in the thickest doors that they want. They can build moats around schools. But at the end of the day, kids have to get to school, and they're coming from their homes. After school, they're going out. They're going to do sports. They're going to do extracurricular activities. And there's problems where they're heading. There's gun violence everywhere. And heck, down just south of my district in Racine, they have an open campus on the Racine-Horlick because they don't have enough room for everybody to eat in the cafeteria. So every day, kids are outside the school. So school safety is not going to address these school shootings. But I will say, we tried to attempt to tackle that by tagging on a few amendments at the end of the day. So we had one that would have passed universal background checks for every single gun purchase in Wisconsin. I think most people, if you ask them on the street, they assume the stuff that we were introducing, including universal background checks, they assume that's already the law.
That happens, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, it's boggling. It's like a series of spit takes.
It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, like what? You can get that person can get a gun. Somebody who wouldn't be able to be sold a gun in a gun shop can just walk out of it, go online to armslist.com and purchase a gun and go find one without having to go through the strenuous process of passing a background check because maybe they had they're not legally allowed to do it. That's okay in the state of Wisconsin. And you know what? Yesterday, every single Republican voted to say, you know what? We don't want to take up that bill. We don't want to talk about it, and none of them talked about it. None of them wanted to allow that to move forward in our state.
That's amazing, and presumably something that would probably pass and have wide-ranging support.
Yeah.
Do you we talk on the national level a lot about the NRA. Do you think that has an impact here on the local, state level? Do you think that the NRA is influencing those decision-making processes?
Absolutely. I mean, it's. I think people assume that the R stands for rifle, but this is really just the National Republican Association. They only support Republicans. And there's this idea that they are a lot bigger and a lot more important than they actually are. And I think that just comes from the political history of Bill Clinton blaming them in 1994, of other people blaming losses, and whenever they do have a victory, them pounding their chest a little bit louder than normal. But the reality is they have lost elections. They have staked out big claims on politicians, and they have lost, right? They did it with Tammy Baldwin. Tammy Baldwin won. In 2010, they went after her in a big way. They did it in Colorado after they passed common sense reforms to reduce gun violence there. They went after leaders, and guess what? They still hold the majority in both houses and the governorship in Colorado. Same thing with Connecticut, where we saw the Newtown shooting years ago. They passed common sense gun reforms, and most of those folks still have their jobs. So it's starting to fade, this boogeyman that is the gun lobby, those that are trying to sell guns at any cost. That's fading away, and taking its place are the kids, the high schoolers, and people who are saying, wait a second, the people who are doing those spit takes, right, that say, what, this isn't the law. How is that not the law?
Yeah.
And the first reaction is like, well, let's fix that. And when they realize they go into their legislator's office and nothing happens, they say, well, maybe we need a new legislator. And they're starting to push. They're starting to run against it and figure this out. Yeah.
We were, Curdy and I, we were in Madison for the National Walkout Day. Did you happen to catch any of that? It was an absolutely amazing feeling to see these young kids engaged, passionate, knowledgeable, articulate, about this topic, and I've been thinking to myself, all the screwing around I've done in my life, Chris, I of all the skipping school I did, it was never for such a reason, and then so I give these young adults a lot of props, and hopefully the passion that they have brought to this topic will continue throughout the summer, and as they mature and get older and become eligible to vote, will translate into voting for people that they believe will support them, not getting shot at in school.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's important there, and they're already doing that, right? Because I think there's one thing. Yes, voting is a piece of it, but there's a lot of things in democracy that you can do, and they're already doing it. And a short story: I yesterday just was by the dates that worked out. A young man that I'm mentoring is named Marvel Reed, and in the time that I've been mentoring him over the last few months, he has stepped up and gotten more involved in politics, and he has helped planning the March for Our Lives. And he was shadowing me yesterday at the Capitol. And frankly, it seemed like a boring day. At the end of the day, you look at the highlights and you're like, wow, that's exciting. But most of it, he was, we're just sitting there pouring through bills and there's not much happening. At the end of the day, we were fighting on this, and he had some thoughts on it. But we finished, and I was leaving for the day, and I realized, hey, Marvell isn't right behind me. Like, where is he? And I was walking around the Capitol trying to find where he went. And sure enough, this is past 10 o'clock at night. And he was out protesting and going around to those offices that have voted against reinstating the 48-hour waiting period for handgun purchase, people who voted against the ability to block domestic violence misdemeanors from owning a gun. He was there protesting and trying to talk to those senators up until the Capitol Police were telling us we had to go.
That's fantastic.
16 years old.
Wow.
So it's not that they're waiting to lead. They're already leading. We just need to get behind them.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Great guest in studio, State Senator Chris Larson joins me. All right, Chris, with this session, what else came out of the Senate that you think the people need to know about? What are the priorities or alarms that you want to share?
Yeah, so yesterday or the full session? Because we've got the full session. I think the biggest one is Foxconn.
Yes.
The biggest. There's this small startup company that Wisconsin is spending money in. Homegrown institution.
All right, let's talk about Foxconn for a moment. Now, if I recall, the original deal, $3 billion. Now, this is going back to the back of the napkin, right?
Yeah.
$3 billion investment by the state.
Yep.
And Foxconn would bring in $10 billion of investment of their end.
Yep.
And they would provide up to 13,000 jobs. I saw 3,000. I've seen up to 13.
Yep.
And when the LFB did their math, the majority of those jobs were to come from the state of Wisconsin.
They did not do that. To be able to pay it off, you mean?
The 25-year payout.
Yep, exactly.
Now, my understanding now is it's really more like a $9 billion investment from Foxconn. The state has increased its proportion, state and local, by almost 50%, $4.5 billion.
That's right.
And at a national low and historical low, perhaps, unemployment here in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Now what? WEDC gets like $6 million to start advertising or continue to advertise in Illinois to bring people in. So now the equation has changed, and I wasn't confident that a break even in 25 years was a good plan, given those original inputs. But now the numbers have changed. Do you have any idea what the new break even might be?
No. It is not going to happen. There was and I'm impressed, by the way, you did all that without any notes. I know folks are watching the live stream, but it was like every single one, you got them. But that was always a sham. There's never, it's never going to pay off for the state of Wisconsin, the level of money that we're throwing at this. And it is going to be a big money pit for us. I remember during the debate when we were originally talking about passing this, I had a conversation with a reporter who specialized on Asian business, and she was trying to figure out why Wisconsin was willing to pony up so much money for this company when she knew the history. And she said, look, and this was before it passed, by the way, she said, look, when they get in and they start putting shovels in the grounds, that's when they really start to take advantage of the local governments, because then they say, we're here. Now you got to pay to keep us here, or we're going to leave and we're going to border jump to someplace else. And that's what we've seen. So that number has climbed from $2.85 billion just a few months ago to $4.5 billion. And guess what? I think it was just yesterday, Apple reported that it's going to be producing its own screens.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, we did this investment that's going to take 30 years to pay off. And wouldn't you know it, technology changed. We didn't think it was going to change over 30 years, and all it took was a few months.
Have you seen a computer monitor from 25 or 30 years ago compared to what we have now? Of course, technology is going to change. Now, Apple may be, doing some things and doing runs on their own. Maybe they don't want to get into the manufacturing. I saw some reporting on that as well. But the fact that they're even tipping their toe into this should be concerning to anybody who supports this Foxconn deal. I'm also concerned, a couple other issues, Chris, when we get back from break. You can stick around a little bit?
Yeah, left to.
The environmental impact. And now, apparently, people aren't too happy about the state coming in, using eminent domain, calling their properties blighted, and kicking them out. I thought Republicans were the party of personal property. We are the Devil's Advocates on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Senator Chris Larson in studio with us. Stick around.
Our economy's on fire.
Foxconn, el mejor trato en la historia de Estados Unidos.
And they literally and figuratively get hooked, and once they get hooked, there's no going back.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
I'm Andy Buck and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Juice, Mom! Juice, juice, juice! Mommy, why are we going to the store? Mom, I want juice! Mom! Juice, juice, juice! Mom!
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Please tune in Saturday, March 24th from noon to 3 p.m. when Earl Ingram anchors special coverage of the 10th Annual Wisconsin Grassroots Festival from Mazomanie. People Organizing for Solutions. Speakers include Lisa Graves, John Nichols, Matt Rothschild, Congressman Mark Pocan, and Senator Tammy Baldwin. Tune in right here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, Saturday, March 24th, noon to 3.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies of the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And AG Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue. Wasn't it Eric O'Kee from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Our friend, State Senator Chris Larson, joins me in studio. Thanks for sticking around, Chris.
Yeah.
Foxconn, of course, this is the big winner that apparently the governor isn't running on. Yeah, I haven't heard him speak a whole lot about it. We talked about a couple things before the break: the environmental impact, and the testimony of the residents in the area being kicked out of their homes. Let's start with the environmental impact first. Of course, big straw in Lake Michigan, sucking out all sorts of water. The way that they've structured it and where the water is coming from. Now they don't have to go to the Great Lakes Compact. This is kind of a workaround. What's your take on the water part of it?
Yeah, I think they're trying to, that's the reason that they're there. They're trying to get the fresh water, to work around it, to take as much water as they can out of the Great Lakes. And for us, it's it's going to be, it's a problem. We used to pride ourselves here in Milwaukee on being a place that was an expert in fresh water and saying, that's us. We're going to be the freshwater hub of the world, and that's what's going to attract the businesses here. That in and of itself should have been the lure. It shouldn't be that we're also going to degrade our environmental laws. We're also going to let you take so much water out of the lake that it's going to change the environment, and also that we're going to pay you to do it. It's a bad business model. It's a bad business model any way you look at it. Break it down to scale. It's like having a lemonade stand and saying, here, take the lemonade and take our money. Well, how long does that work?
It's a bad deal. Depends on who you are. It's a great deal for Foxconn, and given the governor's history specifically of accepting and using third-party groups to funnel money, he did it with Gogebic Taconite with the mining bill.
Yeah.
He did it with the lead paint manufacturing. He has a history. I have no doubt that this governor and the Republicans will somehow, some way get paid through third-party groups from Foxconn to support Republican candidacies, and it's great for them if you can get it. What about the air quality, Chris?
If that happens, by the way, we can move on to air quality.
But go ahead,
if
please.
that happens, Foxconn doesn't have a great history of actually giving political donations or returning graft to politicians in other countries. That's not how Terry Gao operates. And unless they start changing, unless they have some type of change, that's not how they do it. What they end up doing is they try and play local states off of other local states, countries off of countries, people off of people, and get the best deal for themselves. So I don't see them trying to give political contributions over to Walker, but we'll see. Maybe that's the gamble.
But what they don't know is that's how it's done here in the state of Wisconsin, and perhaps will be a meeting of the minds. But none of that information was forthcoming. We didn't know about the lead paint manufacturers. We didn't know about the Gogebic Taconite if it weren't for court documents. So this is something. This is the point. This is the workaround for campaign finance. But we can go down that rabbit hole another time. Foxconn, the air quality. Yeah. Now, I'm unclear. The Republicans kind of carving out a little section in the lower southeast side of Wisconsin for air quality to allow Foxconn to change the pollutants or change what they put or what is acceptable to put in the air?
I'm not familiar with that piece entirely. But I can say that, look, a lot of the precedent they've set on changing our environmental laws is unprecedented. And I think there was an error in how some argued this, and some were saying, well, we're giving this deal to Foxconn. How come we're not giving it to our local business? And it wasn't very, very long until they turned around and said, well, if that's going to be the low bar that everybody has to clear on water, I'm more familiar with, on wetland protection, then that's what everyone else is going to get.
That's
and that's
the new
where they've ended up
precedent
doing
now.
it. So it sounds like they'll probably end up doing the same thing with air quality protection.
Now, my understanding, Senate did not take up the support for Kimberly-Clark and those 600 jobs. What can you say about that? No,
they punted. There was not a very big explanation. This is one of the last bills that was supposed to come up for the day, and I think it was the last or third last. Anyways, they punted on it and then said, "Oh, it's not ready. We'll take it up later in the week," meaning tomorrow. But we just got notice that we're not going to be in tomorrow, so we may not end up taking this up at all. Which it's kind of a quiet, slow victory for everybody who's been pushing back against these Foxconn-style deals where we're just giving away money.
17%, man, I'll take it.
Right, and that's the problem. Is everybody else is going to line up for that, right? And Kimberly-Clark, they didn't even ask for it. They didn't even. They just did that pump fake, and Walker balked. Oh yeah, sure, here you go, take it. We'll give you the same deal. They never asked for it.
Well, they didn't do it for JCPenney. They didn't do it for Bon-Ton. I mean, there's other retail companies that had issues that didn't get that kind of offer.
Which is okay, because frankly, you need to invest directly in the workforce, directly in the state. And if you're going to start lowering that bar and giving away money like it's going out of business, like there's a fire sale, everyone else is going to line up. And you know what? They're not going to be loyal to you. They're only loyal to that dollar.
Other people's money. It's easy to spend. Governor Walker loves to do it.
The legislative looting, right?
Senator Chris Larson, thanks for coming down in the studio, man. Great to see you. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for being here.
All right, folks, we are the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy hour coming up next. Our pal Joe Zapecki, Zapecki Communications, LLC. He's a Dem strategist. He's also going to join me in studio. And your calls, we can take them, 844-967-2789. Stick around.
Somewhere, baby, somehow I know it, baby. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. Believe me, baby, I know it, baby. You know it too.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
No, I'm going to stay for a while. How about that? Freedom.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I'm Glendale Mayor Brian Kennedy, running for re-election in April. You can learn more about my campaign at kennedyforglendelemayor.com. I'm joined today by my friend Matt Flynn, former State Democratic Party Chair and candidate for governor. Matt, why are you running for governor?
We used to have honest government, clean water, and high wages in this state. Now under Walker, we have corrupt government, dirty water, and low wages. I'm going to change that.
You can vote for Brian Kennedy for mayor on April 3rd in Glendale and Matt Flynn for governor in the Democratic primary on August 14th. Paid for by Kennedy for Glendale.
They'll challenge your authority because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Facebook admits mistakes. Austin remains vigilant. I'm Barbara Cusack. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg finally addressed the Cambridge Analytica data breach. Our Jim Roop reports Zuckerberg also says he's put tools in place to make sure it doesn't happen again.
A Cambridge professor violated Facebook's policies when he gave Cambridge Analytica data he mined through a personality quiz app. Zuckerberg says the professor and the political consulting firm did not delete the information even though they said they did. Zuckerberg says now, along with app audits and limiting developers' access, he's providing users a tool to revoke apps' access to their data.
A federal official says there is a reasonable level of certainty that there are no more package bombs out in the public in Austin, Texas, after the suspect blew himself up earlier today.
Investigators are working at the Pflugerville homes where 24-year-old Mark Condit lived and where his parents live. The city's downtown and parts of a neighborhood were evacuated while authorities work to determine a motive and rule out any further threat to the public. Pflugerville Mayor Victor Gonzalez.
This is a fluid situation. The city of Pflugerville offers our services to assist in any way we can.
Texans in and around Austin still being asked to be vigilant of anything suspicious. I'm Clayton Neville.
The fourth nor'easter in 3 weeks slammed the East Coast with deep snow, gusty winds, and the threat of coastal flooding. More from correspondent Omar Jimenez.
After a relatively tame winter with very little snow in the nation's capital, the first full day of spring brings with it several inches of accumulation. Much of the federal government was shut down, and all public events at the White House were canceled. Some of the highest snow totals could fall in New York and New Jersey, where officials say they want residents to remain vigilant. I'm Omar Jimenez.
Flash flood watches are in effect across parts of central and southern California coastal regions, as well as in the Sierra Nevada, as a strong Pacific storm moves through the state. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
It's the end of an era that spanned generations as the bankrupt Toys R Us begins liquidation sales tomorrow.
I don't want to grow up, 'cause maybe if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid.
But all remaining Toys R Us stores in the U.S. will be clearing out their inventory with massive price cuts on basically everything in the store before turning out the lights for good, finally giving up the unwinnable fight against changing times and online retailers. Adding insult to injury, Amazon is checking into buying the empty Toys R Us stores. We all have to grow up sometime.
One more time.
All right.
Gee whiz, I don't want to grow up.
The liquidation is expected to take 14 weeks. I'm Michael Toscano.
Britney Spears landed her first high-fashion modeling campaign as the new face of Paris-based Kenzo. The campaign is for the denim-focused collection Memento No. 2 that Kenzo previewed last September. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I got to tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in 92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 bills and some change already, brother.
Guns Butter Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A new business fraud lawsuit claims the Russ Darrow car dealership in West Bend was involved in a scheme to have fake buyers send SUVs to China, then stiff the lending company for the loan on the vehicle. The Wisconsin State Senate has approved Governor Walker's $100 million school safety plan, but voted down a plan to strengthen gun laws. And at a committee hearing yesterday, State Assembly Democrats questioned whether it was appropriate to have the Department of Justice, led by Brad Schimmel, award the $100 million in grants that Governor Walker wants to spend on school security. Outside today, mostly cloudy, then clearing skies tonight. Lows tonight in the mid-20s. For tomorrow, sunshine with highs in the low 40s. For Friday, sunshine with highs around 40 degrees. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
And welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. It is the happy hour, and we are happy because we got our pal Joe Zepecki. He's a Dem strategist with Zepecki Communications, LLC. Hey, Joe, thanks for stepping in.
Thanks for having me, brother. I'm glad we got a beard and like whatever you're rocking over there in studio. Great to see Senator Larson, but boy, I think this Iron Stash thing may have inspired a movement that it did not foresee.
The senator has a funkadelic stash going on for sure. It is something to behold.
I heartily applaud it. I heartily applaud it as a guy who's recently, up until probably this past Christmas, I've rocked a Fu Manchu.
I know, man.
And big giant chops. The only difference is when I was a tour manager, I had them as lightning bolts. I had lightning bolts for chops and a Fu Manchu because I rock.
You do rock.
You show the listeners a picture, or it didn't happen.
It's out there. We can do it, and who knows? By tomorrow, you'll have that option. He might have a full beard by tomorrow.
Done.
So thank you to our last guest and mustache, Senator Chris Larson. Of course, again, welcome, Joe Zepecki. Joe, so much going on, but let's start with Fox News.
Man, I gotta say, what's nice about a day like today, where we have this beautiful spring-like 34-degree heat wave, and the entire East Coast is shut down because they've gotten like an inch and a half of snow.
Come on. They've been getting hammered all year, man.
It gives the rest of us an opportunity to kind of take our breath for a minute from the insanity of the news cycle and catch up on the stuff we missed. Because with all the Trump-Russia insanity and the Playmate and the porn star and the Apprentice, a lot of stuff's getting missed. And some of it is just so good you can't even believe it, which brings us to Fox News.
Retired Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, according to The Hill, announced he was quitting Fox News as a strategic analyst on Tuesday in a fiery email to colleagues. Now, Joe, you're gonna have this. You're gonna step up here. Let's see here, Joe. What did the lieutenant have to say?
So, just for context, before we get to what he said, this is a guy who's a Russian expert who is so anti-Obama that he was suspended from the air
for calling him a wussy that wasn't a wussy.
Fox News.
Yes.
He was so anti-Obama, inappropriately so, that Fox News suspended him.
That says a lot.
That's really out there. So this is part of the email he sent to his colleagues in saying he would no longer be on Fox News. In my view, Fox has degenerated from providing a legitimate and much-needed outlet for conservative voices to a mere propaganda machine for a destructive and ethically ruinous administration. He goes on, when primetime hosts who have never served our country in any capacity dismiss facts and empirical reality to launch profoundly dishonest assaults on the FBI, the Justice Department, the courts, the intelligence community in which this gentleman served, and not least, a model public servant and genuine war hero such as Robert Mueller, all the while scaremongering with lurid warnings of deep state machinations, I cannot be a part of the same organization, even at a remove. To me, Fox News is now wittingly harming our system of government for profit.
That's a devastating analysis from a former expert host or ex-guest expert on Fox News. I guess here's the question. Do you think this has any impact on, any of the Fox, watchers or listeners or any of the Trumpsters who would look to this guy? And I've seen him. I mean, he's certainly a passionate man. I mean, there's no question about it. And he's not afraid to tell you, obviously, where he stands. But I have to tend to agree with him. This station has now basically become InfoWars of cable television.
They're mainstreaming absurdity in a way that I think those on the left and our friends at Media Matters have been pointing out for years. But now when even the most conservative voices, again, people who are so crazy conservative, they got booted off the air for criticizing President Barack Obama, are saying this, wow, we have reached uncharted territory.
Now, let's talk briefly, as briefly as we can, Cambridge Analytica. And I think all this kind of, flows together with this, this, as you mentioned, this constant barrage of information that we as news consumers and infotainment consumers get.
I'll bring the info, you bring the tainment down.
Yeah, baby. I'm fine with that. The information, man, it takes a lot of effort, Usually I got Crudy to lean on here, and he's always got something to say about something, so I can come in with my smart-ass comments and fill in between the lines. But if you're going to sit up here on the radio or be out in the news or be out and be relied on as some sort of expert or at least somebody knowledgeable about specific issues, it takes time and energy. And it's not just the effort to read and comprehend and understand. It's also to filter through all the BS. And there is a lot of it.
So much BS. When you look at what just this week, right now we're missing, and I think we'll talk about it in the next hour, we got a $1.3 trillion budget deal maybe getting done, maybe not getting done.
Well, what's the big deal? What if it doesn't get done?
The federal government might shut down again. We might have a second one in a span of, 3 months?
And this is Friday this could happen?
This could happen on Friday. This is, again, unified Republican control. They have the White House, both chambers of Congress. They can't keep the government open if they follow the rules they set forth and were championing when they were in the minority, saying we need 3 days to read these bills. You got to give people an opportunity to understand what's in them. That window has closed. They can't do that.
Well, 3 days would put us past Friday. Right.
So just another model example of Republicans in action.
Now let's talk. We brought it up. Let's talk about it briefly, I guess. Joe Zepecki Communications, Dem strategist, joins me in studio. Way better than Crudy. Crudy, I did that for Crudy's benefit. Now I lost it. I was so important. It was so important for me to get a dig in on Crudy. If the hardline Republicans, if the Freedom Caucus doesn't go along, and I've also read some news articles briefly that perhaps some Democrats will also abstain because they're concerned about no action on DACA. Is there a coalition, to your knowledge, Joe, that could kill this by Friday and cause us to go into a government shutdown?
Absolutely. The latest reporting I've seen is that the Freedom Caucus does not like this package. It's more spending that they don't feel like is appropriate. The deal does not include DACA or a DACA fix at this point, which makes Democrats reluctant to give Speaker Ryan the votes he needs to pass it. So something's going to have to give here. And I hope that Democrats in Congress use the leverage they have in a situation like this to come up with a DACA fix. We got to get this right for these kids that are here. So hopefully we'll see some of that, and a deal will get done, and we can say some good came out of it.
Is the DACA, is this as pressing as it once was? I mean, we're already blew past the March 5th or March 6th deadline. I mean, and quote unquote, nothing's happened. So you think that this can remain at the forefront for the Democrats?
I hate seeing this governing by deadline. I'm sure you, much like myself, didn't start on term papers until the night before they were due in college, right?
Come on.
We all procrastinate. That's how this works. But that doesn't mean that's how it's supposed to work. Our elected representatives should be representing the very best of us, the ones who got those papers done a week ahead of time and never had to sweat the deadline. Just because there's no imminent, urgent deadline right now based on what the Supreme Court has said doesn't mean that this doesn't need to get fixed. We cannot continue. I mean, the fact that we're dealing with a government shutdown again. We've gone how many continuing resolutions and short-term spending gaps in a row? We can't govern at the deadlines only. Somebody's got to step up and say, you know what, this is a problem. We want to fix this. And when you look at the President Trump, Democrats in Congress, and the remaining reasonable Republicans in Congress, they all agree we need a fix to DACA. This should be able to get done, and it shouldn't take a deadline to do it.
Well, and I think the American people, the polls will show you they want to fix to DACA, and they're receptive to fixing the problem for these kids that, under no choice of their own, happen to be in this country and know no other country and perhaps no other language or culture than what they've experienced here.
They are Americans.
They are Americans in the truest sense, and the ones that signed up for DACA, and this is, again, be careful who you get in bed with. And unfortunately, this is us as the American government. Well, now, as you sign up for DACA, the government knows where you are. And now the ones that did not, that were perhaps leery of engaging with the U.S. government in this regard, and these are the good kids, quote unquote, yep. the good ones, the ones that did not sign up, while maybe just as good as the other ones or just as American as the other ones, quote unquote, seem to now not be at as much risk as the ones that signed up. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. We got our pal Joe Zapecki. He's joining me here in the happy hour, bringing the 32-ounce Pabst Blue Ribbons. We appreciate that, man.
Get them down here on Brady Street. $3 for 32 ounces of PBR.
See, you got to love Wisconsin, man. You got to love Brady Street. You can join us on the phones should you choose. And you can text. We've got a cool little feature now. You can also text the 844-967-2789. If you're a little gun shy, you don't want to get on the air, we can take your texts at that number as well. Stick around. The happy hour continues. Our pal Joe Zapecki, Dem Strategist, me, Fancy Brian, and you on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Our economy's on fire.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
My good friend, Governor Scott Walker.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five Nines your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Man, do
Well, I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's three easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, our friend, live via phone. What about simply raising the age of weapons purchases to 21 years of age?
We're sending 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds over to Afghanistan, and they're dying. They ought to be able to vote. They ought to be able to have a beer, and they ought to be able to buy a gun to hunt with as well.
Are you suggesting we lower the drinking age?
No. Can't they do that now? What is the age nowadays?
It's 21, sir.
We drink when we toast. We toast when we drink.
Yikes.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. We are live on Brady Street. You are listening to WRRD, the Resistance Radio Network. I'm in for ordinary host Michael Crute. Dom and I are holding down the fort in the happy hour today.
Man, thanks for
However, right now, breaking news brought to you by a very, very special guest live on Brady Street, as heard on Resistance Radio. Please welcome Michael Crute to the broadcast.
Investigative reporter Michael Crute, welcome back.
Buddy, I've been covering all corners of Russ Feingold's hand today. I was doing business all day long. I'm driving around the state of Wisconsin. I get back to Milwaukee. I drop my friend off at his hotel so he can fly out in the morning. And as I'm sitting there waiting to pull off, breaking news hits my phone, and I raced over here to the studio.
Share it with the listeners.
I didn't hear you guys sharing it with the listeners, so I, the Cub reporter, Crudy, wanted this one. I knew it.
Huge. This is huge.
There is a definite Wisconsin tie to Cambridge Analytica. Don't forget, everyone. I've been telling you, when you think Cambridge Analytica, think of Scott Walker and his data team and his donor, Rebecca Mercer, and perhaps think of the smoking man, Mark Block. You remember him, don't you, people?
Oh, it's not a smoking gun. In this case, it turns out we have a smoking
Like
man.
the X-Files smoking man? I don't remember
Very,
this guy.
very similar. I mean, the guy literally ran the Herman Cain campaign, perhaps illegally, like pre-funded the Herman Cain campaign in the campaign ad where he... Do we have the sound, Fancy Brian?
The strangest campaign
Before we get to the breaking, this is good stuff, folks. You're going to want to stick around. But let's set the stage. Fancy Brian's working hard in the booth over there. He's got the Herman Cain ad. And unfortunately, this is a television ad. But the visual you're all going to miss. He's smoking a cigarette.
Who is he in this case?
He is Mark Block.
Mark Block.
Mark Block, who
Republican operative.
worked for Justice Wilcox before he was banned from working on campaigns here in the state of Wisconsin? Wilcox. That's the case, if I recall correctly, Joel. Joe. Sorry, man.
Crudy is fired up.
I am fired up. Wilcox, let's not forget that is the case that the Government Accountability Board was looking to for prior precedent of why Scott Walker could not campaign with third-party groups, let's call them Wisconsin Club for Growth and others, why it was illegal, because it was decided law in the state of Wisconsin, and it was decided against Wilcox and Mark Block.
And now
That
he's
guy.
back. All right. So where are we? Set it up.
Now we find out that he did this advertisement, and we got to play it for you because we're never going to get to the whole story in this segment. We got to set this one up. We'll bring back the actual news part of the breaking news.
Sorry, Crudy, you only get one segment.
He's salad shaking in there. Come on, man. Stay with me in here, Fancy Brian. Let's play the ad. Here is the smoking man, Mark Block of Wisconsin fame. New breaking news. But first of all, let's set the stage. The Herman Cain Campaign 2012.
Pizza Man.
Mark Block on behalf of Herman Cain.
Mark Block here. Since January, I've had the privilege of being the Chief of Staff to Herman Cain and the Chief Operating Officer of the Friends of Herman Cain. Tomorrow is one day closer to the White House. I really believe that Herman Cain will put United back in the United States of America, and if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be here. We've run a campaign like nobody's ever seen, but then America's never seen a candidate like Herman Cain. We need you to get involved because together we can do this. We can take this country back.
Sounds like Russian club music.
Is this the part where he's awkwardly standing against the brick wall, just
smoking,
puffing on a ciggy butt?
Smoking. Wisconsin GOP operative Mark Block played key role in linking Steve Bannon and Facebook mining Cambridge Analytica, according to Daniel Bison, Mary Spacuzza at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. This news breaking, and we're going to break it for you right here. I'll let the boys break it, perhaps. But I was so excited, guys. I had to join in.
Oh, man.
I heard there were PBR tall boys around here.
Once you get going, man, once you're in, you don't get out, man.
You know, there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here in this little studio with you boys right now. I had to break away from a day off to come back just because I love it so much.
There are no off days in radio.
And we love all of you. And I hear we have a text line now as well, 844-967-2789. Same line text.
Yeah, man.
Oh. Smoking.
In the boys' room or against the brick wall. Whatever works for you.
Come back with the Devil's Advocates on the Wisconsin Resistance Radio Network. It's Dom. It's Joel Zabecki. Or Joe. You know, we call him just Joe. But
Jay-Z, baby.
Jay-Z. And yours truly, Cub Reporter Crudy. I'll bring back some breaking news. You better stick around, listen to the commercials, support our sponsors. We'll be right back.
You Becky, stand.
We're like the stupid people.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Well, you are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Ooh, I just felt a trickle down. No, I don't recall doing it.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The Wisconsin Senate voted yesterday to give Wisconsin residents a one-weekend sales tax holiday and a one-time $100 child tax rebate. Republicans hope the giveaways can help the governor's chance of being re-elected. The state of Wisconsin has agreed to pay nearly $19 million to a former teen inmate at the Copper Hills School for Girls who suffered brain damage after a suicide attempt. And you can learn how to create a lead-safe home this evening at a free workshop. The workshop will be held at the Wisconsin Black Historical Society, 2620 West Center Street, from 6 to 8 p.m., and everyone is welcome. Outside today, mostly cloudy, then clearing skies tonight. Lows tonight in the mid-20s. For tomorrow, sunshine with highs in the low 40s. For Friday, sunshine with highs around 40 degrees. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. You bet your ass Curdy's sticking around. We got breaking news, Wisconsin. We've got some friends right here in studio to help us break it, including Joe. Don't call him Joel Zapecki. Joe, I'm going to set the story, and then you help weave the tapestry.
Now that your blood pressure is just a little bit lower, remind our gentle listeners what news is breaking at this hour.
Well, thank you, Joe. I will.
Nice setup.
Wisconsin GOP operative Mark Block played key role in linking Steve Bannon and Facebook mining Cambridge Analytica, or so reports Daniel Bice and Mary Spicuzza at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Now, Joe, we just saw Sherman Park trolls. We just saw articles about this. Obviously, Wisconsin targeted. We were a red state. We went Trump.
Targeted by the Russians.
We were targeted along with a couple of other very important states, like Michigan and Pennsylvania. When you look at what ultimately decided the election, you're talking about 22,000 votes here in Wisconsin. You're talking about fewer than 70,000 votes across the three states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, that pushed President Trump over the top. In an election that close, everything could have been the deciding factor. This is the equivalent of a one-vote, decision in the House, 50-49 or 50-50 with a tie break. So everything could have mattered. We now know that they were using Sherman Park. It turns out we also have other late-breaking news today There was other.
We're not quite there yet, Joe.
There was other Wisconsin stuff that was being pushed by the Russians.
But right now, we've identified who was the middleman. Well, it was the smoking man. It was Mark Block. I'm going to read some from the Daniel Bice, Mary Spikusa reporting. Of course, there's a Wisconsin connection to the Facebook scandal involving Cambridge Analytica. Can't wait till Walker's name's in the headline.
Hell yeah.
And not surprisingly to some, it involves longtime Wisconsin GOP operative, not the governor today, longtime Wisconsin GOP operative Mark Block. Block was a history of campaign missteps. That's a nice way of putting it. Has been named as a key player in the international uproar over Cambridge Analytica, a London-based firm that mined data from 50 million Facebook users to try and influence the 2016 presidential election. Christopher Wiley, a whistleblower who brought the scandal to light, you might recognize him. He's got the bright red shocks of hair. Identified Block as the middleman between the former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon and Cambridge Analytica. He was the fixer, Dom.
What?
In a story posted earlier this week in the Guardian newspaper, Wiley offered what sounds like a tall tale, though it's one he can back up with an email. Here's a quote, Dom. Mark Block, a veteran Republican strategist, happened to sit next to a cyber warfare expert for the U.S. Air Force on a plane, the newspaper said. It continued, and the cyber warfare guy is like, oh, you should meet SCL Group. They do cyber warfare for elections.
I'm sorry, are you reading a Tom Clancy novel right now?
Sounds like
it.
a
Oh, no,
little
this
bit,
is
right?
the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel.
Oh, yeah.
As you were.
Joe, SCL Group is the parent company of Cambridge Analytica.
The firm, which was hired by President Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, has been listed as having a New Berlin address in some Federal Election Commission filings. That P.O. box has been used by Block in the past. Block, who has been active in Wisconsin politics for at least 40 years, did not return calls seeking an interview. He previously ran the ill-fated 2012 presidential campaign for Herman Cain.
Maybe it was the smoking man ad. And by the way, if you're a big shot fixer, can't you get a second P.O. box?
Saving money. Over the weekend, the New York Times and London-based media reported that Cambridge Analytica tried to influence the 2016 presidential election with data taken from up to 50 million Facebook users. Bannon, who served as Trump's campaign chief, was vice president of Cambridge Analytica, and White House counselor Kellyanne Conway consulted for the company. Hedge fund billionaire and GOP donor Robert Mercer, who had strong ties to Bannon, pumped millions into the firm. Facebook has said the data was originally gathered several years ago by a Cambridge psychology professor. The social media outlet had given the professor permission to collect the data. More recently, the professor passed along that information to SCL Group and Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica, as we mentioned yesterday, suspended its CEO, Alexander Nix, after he was recorded in an undercover television show offering to assist a potential political client by using prostitutes and bribery to entrap political candidates.
The old honey trap.
Did you know you couldn't do that?
That sounds like a witch hunt. This is all a witch hunt.
This isn't the first time Block and his political groups have been linked to questionable campaign activities. In 2011, Block, at the time a top campaign aide for presidential candidate Herman Cain, faced questions about whether his private group had breached federal campaign law by helping Cain get his fledgling campaign off the ground by originally footing the bill for tens of thousands of dollars in expenses. Those expenses included private jets, travel, and computers for the Cain campaign. That group, Prosperity USA, was owned and run by Block and Linda Hansen, Cain's then chief of staff and deputy chief of staff. Block also previously served as campaign manager for former state Supreme Court Justice John Wilcox Crudy, as you mentioned, accused of election law violations stemming from that race. Block settled the case by agreeing to pay a $15,000 fine and stay out of Wisconsin politics for 3 years. But he didn't stay away from politics for long. Block more recently ran the Wisconsin chapter of
AFP,
Americans for Prosperity, a conservative political group, advocacy group, co-founded by the conservative Koch brothers.
Dude got put in the corner into timeout for 3 years?
Mark Block, yeah, that was the rule. Remember, when Scott Walker was coordinating with outside groups, it was illegal, just like when Wilcox was doing it.
It's just been so long, it's sort of shocking to remember we used to have oversight of this in a meaningful way.
Let's bring it home. You got it there, Kurt? Or you want me to keep going here?
You keep going.
All right. Block met Kane through AFP and encouraged him to run for national office. Another group started by Block was called Wisconsin Prosperity Network, which he co-founded with disgraced former Assembly Speaker Scott Jensen.
You inserted the disgrace part. It's inaccurate, but it's an editorial.
Stories have noted that former UN Ambassador John Bolton's Super PAC has used Cambridge Analytica in the past. Bolton's group announced this week that it was launching a new round of TV and radio ads in the Milwaukee market to help GOP candidate Kevin Nicholson in the U.S. Senate race.
Say that again. So Bolton, John Bolton,
Mustache Bolton,
not to be confused with Michael Bolton, is backing Kevin Nicholson in Wisconsin, Dom.
And using Cambridge Analytica, or at least he has in the past. His Super PAC promised to invest $1 million in the fall race. Nicholson also received $5,400 in campaign funds from billionaire heiress Rebecca Mercer. She sits on the Cambridge Analytica board and is the daughter of billionaire Robert Mercer.
Let's not forget Scott Walker received $50,000, not directly, not as a campaign contribution. He never gets dirty like that. But through a third-party group, there were ads run during the recall, funded only named donor Rebecca Mercer, basically against the recall, a little social science experiment.
Testing the waters.
That would make Rebecca Mercer another one of Scott Walker's sugar mamas.
Absolutely.
Just to put a point on it.
And finally, Nicholson aide downplayed the connection between the candidate and the data mining firm. We aren't using Cambridge
anymore
on our campaign, and we can't control what outside groups do or who they hire, said spokesman Brandon Moody. But come on, Brandon, you can, in fact, absolutely coordinate with those outside groups, thanks to Governor Scott Walker.
Well, he is in a federal race, so no, that would not be kosher. Doesn't mean there might not be some shenanigans that go on, Don. I mean, when effectively a third-party group can spend millions on your behalf, every ad I hear right now on right-wing talk radio is for Kevin Nicholson or a super PAC supportive of Kevin Nicholson. Joe, there's very little difference between the two ads.
It just came out today. Dick Uline's already spent over $1 million on radio alone for Kevin Nicholson.
Well, of course, Nicholson's opponent, if he's fortunate enough to beat Nurse Ratchet in the primary, Lee Bookmer, for those that don't know the backstory, would be Tammy Baldwin. And there's another headline. Jason Stein at the Journal Sentinel updated 13 minutes ago. Tammy Baldwin seeks hearing after Russians pushed image of Obama in a noose at a Badgers game. You remember that, don't you, boys? U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin called for a hearing Wednesday as new cases emerged of Russian Twitter trolls using racially charged incidents to foment tension in Wisconsin and around the country.
Let me jump in right there. Just remember again, we're fomenting tension in Wisconsin, one of 3 states, battleground states, that ultimately delivered the presidency to Donald J. Trump by less than 22,000 votes here.
And Scott Walker donor Rebecca Mercer owns Cambridge Analytica, and Scott Walker's data people went and ran the data campaign during the Trump campaign for Cambridge Analytica, and they're doing all this
Sherman Park, the news at the Badger game, right here in Wisconsin.
I'm sure Scott Walker's not involved whatsoever.
No. And this is all,
Did he come out of that campaign with like $1.3 million in debt? Wonder how he paid it off. Just saying. I know he stiffed a few vendors, but I bet I'm just saying.
Renegotiate.
You know, I hate to be Hannity over here, but I'm just saying.
The wall is starting to look like Carrie Matheson's wall in Homeland doesn't mean it's not right.
Right.
The news, back to the Tammy Baldwin Russian troll story, the news event spread by fake Russian accounts on social media ranged from a 2015 police shooting of a Madison teenager. Now, Dom, you and I talked about this, Tony Robinson Jr., to the case days before the 2016 presidential election in which a fan, I'm air quoting that, at a University of Wisconsin Badgers game came dressed as then President Barack Obama with a noose around his neck. Well, that is more than distasteful. It was shared and advanced the racial strife in Wisconsin by Russian Twitter trolls. Joe, you jumping in?
What they're doing is they're weaponizing things that are happening. And rather than news occurring and it being reported and people drawing their own conclusions, what they are doing is taking individual news stories and delivering them to people that they believe are susceptible to that kind of messaging to get them to do something. And the something in this case is to go out and vote for Donald Trump. Sorry, I will jump back in. Because Senator Baldwin, who we just mentioned, is calling for immediate action. In a letter Wednesday to Senator John Thune, Senator Baldwin called for the Senate Commerce Committee to hold hearings on the Russian manipulation of Twitter and other social media platforms to meddle in the election. Baldwin's letter cites a report by the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel last week laying out how Russian trolls spread hate and disinformation in the wake of the August 2016 Sherman Park unrest in Milwaukee.
So precise when you read, like you're reading the words and not just spitting them out of your mouth quickly.
And I haven't mispronounced the name yet.
Yet.
Well, you haven't seen any Russian names in there. I'm going to read the quote, I guess, from Baldwin's letter to Thune. I'm troubled by these companies' failure both to protect their users' data and to prevent their platforms from being used to disseminate false information pushed by a foreign power designed to interfere with our elections and undermine our institutions. A spokesman for Thune had no response to the call for a hearing. Let's not forget, he's a Republican, which Baldwin also wants to use to review the use of Facebook profiles and data by a political consulting firm. Bipartisan leaders from former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder to Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, ? Also called last week for a federal response to Russian meddling.
I'm going to skip just ahead, a couple paragraphs down.
Yes, please do.
Right, so as a reminder, the Russian accounts played both sides of racial tension in the country. For instance, spreading both criticism and support of the Black Lives Matter movement. That's what I mean when I say they were weaponizing individual news stories. So if there's a story about a fan being arrested for offensive and downright disgusting behavior at a Badger game, they can, in the way that they present that information to one group of voters, use it to urge people to vote for Donald Trump. They can send that to another cohort of voters and urge them not to vote for Hillary Clinton. And all of that adds up in the aggregate to a 22,000 vote victory for Donald Trump in Wisconsin.
A couple of the stories that were touched on, the Obama noose at the Badger game. Here's what the Russian trolls tweeted. Terrible. Football fan wears a President Obama mask with a noose around his neck at a Wisconsin game. That was a retweet posted by @Jerry, Jery _Robertso. The Russian-linked accounts also tweeted about Tony Robinson Jr., an unarmed 19-year-old biracial man who was shot and killed in March 2015 by a Madison police officer. Here's what they tweeted in that case. Retweet at Keegan, New York City. Public outcry in the streets of Madison has begun. # Tony Robinson. The tweet reads, well, of course, we talked about the Journal-Sentinel and their reporting last week of the targeting of Milwaukee voters with the # Milwaukee, the amplification of Sheriff David A. Clark Jr., but of course the racial strife that was being sown by these Russian trolls around the Sherman Park uprising, the incidents there. And I can't wait till Scott Walker's right in the middle of it, because you know he's right in the middle of it, Joe.
Before we go, hat tips. Jason Stein, Mary Spicuzza, Dan Bice, great reporting by the Journal-Sentinel. Don't let this story go to the back burner.
Folks, we're the devil's advocates, never on the back burner. Hell, I take time off to tell you about this story. More of us when we come back.
But there's been no collusion, no obstruction, and virtually everybody agrees to that.
If I were to guess, I have one name in mind.
I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive, conservative message can rise to the top of the field.
My good friend, Governor Scott Walker.
By the way, not in my opinion, in the opinion of hundreds of thousands of people on Twitter.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters, District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Music is a bridge
between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Is my kid in the right car seat? I guess she is.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear-facing, forward-facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
That guy is a scary son of a gun, and I hope people start paying attention and get him the heck out of there, because he's like a big fascist general that's controlling our state, and then our attorney general. Wow, that guy ought to be locked up himself. I mean, he makes the sheriff of Milwaukee look kind of saintly.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Some say the greatest radio show ever on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. You can join us 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we got Joe Zepecki. He's supposed to be doing my job today, but I had to sneak in, take some time off from taking some time off.
I'm doing the best job, though. I'm doing the best, Crudy, the very best.
You're very bigly over there, Joe. And you are going to set the topic, the final topic of the day, although others could join us, 844-967-2789.
Text in your
Call
answers.
or text.
Yeah.
You guys snuck that in on my day off.
We got a little game here. The president, we got a lot of breaking news that we covered in this hour. There's also some stories that are just going to stick around, and they're going to continue to dog this president. So the question at hand is this. Which of the relationships or inappropriate behavior with women in question right now in the news has the biggest potential to bring down Donald Trump? Is it The Apprentice? Is it The Playmate? Or is it The Porn Star?
Ooh, I want to go first.
Dom raises his hand. Dom.
All right, I say it's The Apprentice. This is
Why?
The defamation case, and my understanding she can go forward and she can perhaps depose President Trump.
So she can get him on the stand, and that spells D-O-O-M, doom.
Spells D-U-M-E.
Crudy, who you got in this?
Well, you go first, Joe. It's my show.
I say it's the...
Even though you borrowed it for the day.
Just taking it out for a spin, seeing how she handles. I say the Playmate. I think Karen McDougal has the most potential danger for Trump because she was paid off by a corporation that owns and runs National Enquirer, and this looks a lot like a illegal corporate in-kind donation to a presidential campaign. That is a federal crime.
I'm going to sneak a wild card in here.
Wild card!
Vanessa Trump! You don't know what the daughter-in-law might know, and to find out, the father-in-law in a patronizing way tells the son to stop cheating on the daughter-in-law while she's pregnant. Of course, Donald Trump apparently cheated on his wife, Melania, with both the Playboy model, Karen, don't call her Pam.
Karen McDougal.
And also Stormy Daniels. But setting aside the wild card, Stormy. It's got to be Stormy.
So your actual vote is the porn star.
My actual vote is Stormy. Of course Stormy's going to take down Trump. And I mean in a political, literal fashion, literally take down his, short-lived political career. Because she's going on 60 Minutes this Sunday, and America's going to be watching.
Set your DVRs. I set mine.
Inquiring minds want to know. Dom, you're going to have to thank the guest. I wasn't around for most of them.
I'd like to thank all my guests. Michael Crute, thanks for showing up and breaking the news today, man. Maybe you can come back tomorrow, do it full time. Joe Zepecki, Dem Strategist, Zepecki Communications. You are a fine man, sir. Of course, also State Senator Chris Larson joined me down here on Brady Street. Thank you, all of the callers, listeners, friends, family. This is what we do around here, man.
Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up early and barge in on Earl's show. That's the great part about being me. I can do that.
He's like the Kool-Aid man.
And then one day it's, oh yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Be back here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. More breaking news. Remember, if you think of wrongdoing and Cambridge Analytica, think Scott Walker.
And if it ain't broke, we'll break it. Thanks, everyone.
Spend some time floating out in space. Find another planet, make the same mistakes. Some minds all shadow when we climb aboard. Hope before the scientists to find another door.
And if it is Russia, which is probably not, nobody knows who it is.
Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott